Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today is August 10th, which puts us 1 month and 1 day after the launch of patch 1.1. So we're going to do the same thing for 1.1 that we did in 1.0. So take a look at the old videos if you're interested in what happened on the arena ladders in the past. So we've had 1 month of the cycle. A lot of people have already dipped out of Last Epoch World to go play Diablo 4, to go play Path of Exile as well with the launch of those leagues. But we're going to take a look at all the top performing builds of the 1.1 cycle. So I have 21 builds here to discuss with you. We are only going to be looking at softcore builds. So in the trade league, so we're not doing like softcore solo or like not softcore SSF. This is softcore party with your friends. That said, it will be a solo arena focus. We're not going to look at group builds. We're not going to look at SSF, or we're not going to look at hardcore. So I think the most competitive place is solo arena in softcore. And real quick, just to reiterate, there's pretty low competition this time around in the ladder. So for patch 1.0, there's a huge influx of new players, and there's a great release window when there weren't other things going on immediately surrounding the launch of 1.0. As opposed to that, we have patch 1.1, which was flanked by Diablo 4 and Path of Exile, so not nearly as much competition this time around. There were like 4 or maybe 5 people who really pushed hard in Arena and got like 800, 900, 1700 waves, which is huge. All of those are very, very impressive. On the contrary, we are going to be taking a look at a lot of builds this cycle that were like 350 or 400 waves in the arena, which I would call like good for them, but fairly non-competitive. Oh man, coffee's so good. So this is lastepochtools.com. We take a look at the ladder checkbox here, and we are filtering arena, 1 player, and then taking a look at everything that pulls up here. For many classes, we only have 1 entry, but for a couple of these classes, we're going to have 2, and in one instance, even 3. And I will let you know which of these are CWEF builds, which of these are Merchants Guild builds, and how these people have been performing. Without further ado, let's take a look at 21 builds and see what's going on. Build number 1 in the world of Primalist. We have 3 Beastmaster builds we're going to look at. They all looked impressive. They all looked like they were doing fun and interesting things, and they were all distinct. So kudos to them. The first one is a CWEF build. This is a Scorpion build. So when I think Scorpion, I think about one particular member of the community. His name is Cookbook. He has been featured on Dread's YouTube channel. I think he has his own YouTube channel. I actually don't know. But he's all over the forums and the official Discord helping people with their Scorpion builds. So in my mind, he's like the big proponent of why Scorpion is popular. So we have a strength stacking Scorpion build. We are not low live. Got our Bastion of Honor here with double red ring of Atlaria. And this person is CWEF. Remember, if you're CWEF, perhaps the only advantage that CWEF has over Merchants Guild is that it's pretty easy to farm red ring. You just run unique ring prophecies and it will happen at some point. So not too many things to call out here. I think this is a fairly stock looking build. We have our Scorpion, our cooldown swipe to proc the Scorpion skill. Eterra's Blessing, spec with a poison chance on the Scorpion here. Warcry for some good defenses and pulling enemies in. Cool. Yep. Invulnerability. Love it. Why not take it? Extra poison chance there as well. And then Fear Leap rounding it out, just giving us a way to pull the Scorpion with us so that we can farm quickly. And I guess that's about it. Just farming quickly, pulling this guy with us. All right. So I know we have 21 builds to go through, and there's a couple builds we're going to stop and talk more about. But let's keep up the pace and talk about the other Beastmaster builds so that we can then move on to a different mastery later. Beastmaster build number 2 is a low-life .EQ build. I played a version of this as a Druid in the 1.1 patch as well. But remember, during the 1.0 patch, we also saw every Beastmaster was playing this build. Totally OP. It was bugged last patch, with how much damage that it did. It was also bugged at the beginning of 1.1, and then they bug fixed it, and then they, in compensation for the bug fix, this past, I guess 1 week ago, they released another patch, like patch 1.14, and they said, hey, in compensation for the Earthquake nerf, we're going to give you some extra effectiveness of added damage. In that bug fix, they also accidentally added way more damage. So I think they actually reintroduced the old bug, but basically this build does like 3 or 4 times the amount of damage that it's supposed to deal. And I'm playing it right now as well because it's incredibly OP, and I like OP builds every once in a while. So this is a low life Beastmaster. This person has 137 strength. Strength plus Cleaver Solution gives you a bunch of intelligence for your low life builds. We have low life here, low life last step, and low life on our gloves as well. So other than that, 1 red ring, maybe 2 red rings, and as much strength as you can get. And Twisted Heart, not because we're casting spells, but because it has strength on it, and we can put more strength on it. So this build's pretty busted. If you haven't seen it, you can check out the Man, Bear, Pig video on my YouTube channel, or you can check out anyone who's been playing a Beastmaster in the past 6 months, because this build is on everyone's radar. It's very strong. The third Beastmaster build that I want to call out, I think this is the only 3-build mastery. This is the only 3-build mastery. Got it. So everything else has 1 or 2 builds for it. But the third Beastmaster build for us here is for Stormcrows. And this person is playing in Merchant's Guild. They are not low life. They are Cleaver Solution with a bunch of plus levels to Stormcrows on their 4 LP Urzel's Pride, because everybody in Merchant's Guild has a 4 LP Urzel's Pride apparently. So swipe is used on cooldown. Our Stormcrows have extra damage per swipe, per melee hit recently. So our Tempest Strike has a ton of attack speed, juicing up our Stormcrows. Our Stormcrows use their ability on cooldown when we have our swipe available, and they also have a bunch of more damage per Stormcrow. I'm actually not sure if this is +1. It is. Okay, so I wasn't sure if this was solo Stormcrow or multiple Stormcrows. This is the kind of build that, like, when I look at it, I suspect that it would be frustrating to have the Stormcrows die all the time. I don't see anything in particular that would heal them all to full, because like you're healing 1 to full off swipe, but I don't see any cooldown recovery speed. Swipe has a how much cooldown? It's a 2-second cooldown. Maybe they're leeching up by themselves. Do they leech much? I don't think they leech much, do they? I'm not sure about the minion survivability on this. I've seen versions of this particular build, like things with Tempest Strike plus Stormcrows. I remember Cliparian, when he was checking out the 1.0 patch for Last Epoch, that was one of his first experiments as well. And of course, we, on this channel, hosted a Tempest Strike build contest, and there were more people who were trying out Stormcrows at that point as well, because you can just juice a ton of damage out of them. So I'm not sure about the minion survivability, but the damage of this build is insane. Noteworthy, I'll include this at the beginning of each chapter as we move forward, but Beastmaster, the top build for Beastmaster, the Scorpion build, was at 401. So 401 waves, not particularly competitive in my mind, but I'll include that at the beginning of each segment as we continue here. Next up is Shaman. For Shaman, we only have 1 build that we're going to be taking a look at here. So the top build had no gear on it, so I didn't bother pulling anything in there. Looks like they maybe respec their build or bastardize their gear to put it somewhere else, or maybe they're just hiding it. But the top Shaman was 434 waves. This build here was in second place. This was a COF person, and it looked like it might have been the same kind of build, because I know from my experience that Shaman builds are basically all this. So all the competitive ones in this patch, they kind of look the same as they did in patch 1.0. So I didn't see much avalanche, but I did see a lot of tornado, bolts, maelstrom bolts, and of course both those bolts use the Gathering Storm skill tree. Notable that this person as a shaman was not using excited bolts, so it looks like a frostbite build here. Wait, is this frostbite? No. What? Good. What? Wait a minute. It's not frostbite. It's crit. They have the crit weapon. They have the new Nemesis weapon that has +9 flat spell critical strike chance as the implicit. Huh, but I guess they also took this here. Maybe all damage is good damage, or maybe they just give this, like, this gives them extra freezer multiplier, and they were stacking attunement anyways. So you might as well take the note as a payoff because it's extra survivability. I'm going to call it that, because, like, it's certainly not a frostbite build. That took me off guard for a moment there. Because it's like 1,000% a crit build. One of the new interesting things that you can do in patch 1.1 is, like, with this new Scorn Scepter, it's a real pain in the ass to farm one of these. And this person was COF, so they farmed this up themselves. Getting +9 spell crit, it's kind of like having a catalyst and a wand at the same time. So it frees you up to using a shield as well, right? So with the Scorn Scepter, the flat damage on it's quite low, but of course they're playing a crit Gathering Storm build. We get flat damage per attunement, and then they have an extra 113 attunement. So when I look at Scorn Scepter having low flat damage, but a good damage payoff with a +9 spell crit, it kind of reminds me of the kind of builds that you would see incorporating a Mad Alchemist Ladle, where like it gives you more damage, but it has low flat, so you need the flat from somewhere else. Well, this is a ton of spell crit, but it doesn't have much, flat damage on it. So notable that this build does generate flat critical strike chance off of the Maelstrom node. So it looks like they are proccing Maelstroms off of Warcry. Maybe they're also using Maelstrom periodically to generate 3 or 4 extra stacks of Maelstrom. I wonder if this was a good choice for them. They might not need this much spell critical strike chance. Huh. It's interesting. I guess how much increased crit do they have? Increased crit, attunement, no, I guess a base type here. Not much increased crit, huh? I guess Warcry has some increased crit built into it. Yeah, they got 100%, 175% increased crit. God, maybe Warcry plus this thing and the Maelstroms caps their crit all by itself. That is pretty low investment into crit, but I kind of like it. All right, so that's Shaman. This person was at 434. I guess not this particular person at 434. The top person was, but they had their gear. Let's continue. Take a look at Druid builds. We have one archetype to look at for Druid. This person didn't hide their character, God bless. So the top Druid build is this at 483 waves in the arena, 483. This was a Merchant's Guild gamer playing Werebear Tornado Bolts. So Tornado Bolts or Tornado Gathering Storm, whatever you want to call it. So this, if you haven't seen this build in action, it's either eye candy or an eyesore, depending on how many or how much you like having 17 different tornadoes on the screen. I feel like it's more than 17 different tornadoes on the screen. But the point here is that we cast as many tornadoes as we can, and we don't cast them on our head. We just double cast them all around the screen. And then we can swap into Werebear form, and while we rampage, we get an extra 20% more lightning damage. So this makes it really, really high damage. Let's see, we are Excited Bolts, and then along with Excited Bolts, we have our nodes in Druid for Rage gain on crit. And remember, Rage is mana for the purposes of Excited Bolts. So you can cast all of your tornadoes, drain your mana down to 0, flip into bear form, and then your mana is at full, which means your Excited Bolt damage is OP. So this person only has 600 mana. They're not 1,000 mana. They're not 2,000 mana like a Sorc would be, but 600 mana here looks quite good. Looks like pretty low HP. Just like YOLO DPS. Love the YOLO DPS. Twisted Heart. They have 169 intelligence. Do they have any like ward per second or anything? I don't think they have any ward per second, do they? So they're just like Twisted Heart, generate a bunch of ward, and then try to keep as much of it possible. From my experience seeing this build, you basically off-screen everything. So I'm unsurprised to see a build like this doing well in Arena, because you can just off-screen everything, and why wouldn't you? Let's take a look at the next mastery here. We're going to move on off of Primalist onto our mage characters. So the very first mage build, it's kind of boring, but someone hid their character, so I don't get to tell you too much. This character was a Merchant's Guild character at 1,700 waves in the arena. So they must have either bastardized their character and put it somewhere else, or they simply did not want people stealing their build and stealing their technology in videos like this. So we don't know exactly what was going on here. They changed all their skills. So we don't have much here, but we do know their mastery. It looks like they did not change their mastery. This looks like fairly normal stuff. Noteworthy for the top build, they were not using Lost Knowledge, but they were using this Archmage node, this chance to refund mana up here. So if I see a build that's 1,700 waves in the arena, if I had to guess, it'd be Spark Charges. But I also don't see the Spark Charge node over here. So maybe it was Glacier, maybe it was something else. But a couple points in here look strange to me. Like 1 point here, 1 point here, 1 point here. So I don't know exactly what's going on, but we're not going to spend too much time on it because they hid their build, and I don't know what was going on at 1,700 waves. On the other hand, we have a different build. This person's only 826 waves, which is still quite impressive. This gear is very strong. So this is a Merchant's Guild Sorc at 826 waves, and I'm going to call this like a big mana Meteor Belt. So on the one hand, it looks like it's, you know, like, why do we have Meteor and Static Orb and Glacier all together? But with Sorc rewarding you for having 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 mana, people have found all kinds of technology to go along with that. So there's a lot of build guides out there if you're interested in how to min-max this kind of thing. This person went for Static Orb with all the mana nodes here. Remember, if you spend the mana off of Teleport, it still counts, and then it will be refunded off the Archmage node in your Mastery. And then we have all the damage-related mana nodes in Static Orb. So I assume that this is their single target. Don't quote me on that. Glacier is spec'd for no damage, but yes, mana generation. So they are freezing monsters with a bunch of points in permafrost with freeze rate multiplier and generating a bunch of mana, percentage of your maximum mana gained on crit. So that's neat. And Meteor, I couldn't figure out where Meteor was in their rotation. Maybe Meteor is just there for like big AoE clear speed. But realistically, I think I know what Meteor is doing in their build. So I think they're doing like Static Orb for single target, Glacier for clear, something like that. And then Harbinger of the Stars proccing Meteor is kind of tying the room together. I think that's what's happening here. Looks awesome. They do have a Marina's Wand, which is noteworthy because it has a lot of good stats on it, but it also happens to have, what do you call it? A bunch of necrotic damage. So I'm going to assume that they were just looking for as much flat as possible, because when I start looking for a bunch of flat in my builds, like when I played Avalanche, a version of my build used a Marina's because it has a lot of flat, and a Confluence of Fate because it has a lot of flat damage on it. So this is kind of interesting stuff going on here. I assume that their damage is absolutely bonkers. So this is neat for Sorc. Next up, much less competitive, many fewer waves in the arena, but we're going to take a look at a Spellblade character. Not much going on in the world of Spellblade. I would have expected to see more spark charges, but there's at least one spark charge here. So this is the top one that we found. This was 301 waves in the arena. Not particularly competitive, but this was COF Gamer using a Dragorath spark charge build. Again, a lot of the ideas here came back from 1.0. There were lots of Spellblades who were playing spark charges back then as well with the Dragorath Claw. In fact, the most popular Sorc builds in 1.0 were actually the same thing, just Dragorath Claw builds, which is funny to see that Sorc got such a good facelift during the patch, and Spellblade got, I don't know, something. So I think the most interesting thing about Spellblade in this patch, to me, okay, so listen, Shatter Strike's insane. It does absolutely crazy damage. I don't know how tanky it is, but it deals absolutely insane damage. For me, the most interesting thing about Spellblade is these nodes up here, crit chance per 15 intelligence. So in a spark charge build, it's actually kind of hard to get flat critical strike chance. So you need to you either use a Dragorath Claw, or in patch 1.1, you can use double rings. The forged weapon rings have flat critical strike chance on them. You can use a prismatic gaze on your helmet to get flat crit there, but you didn't really have a clean source of flat crit, because normally your flat crit comes from your offhand catalyst. But if you're a spark charge build, you need to use the spark charge relic instead. Or sorry, the catalyst instead. You get a bunch of increased crit off of your Sorc, giving you increased critical strike chance per intelligence. But now as a Spellblade, you also get flat crit per intelligence. So it makes it really, really easy to cap crit on this kind of thing. The rest of this build, I would assume just like fill in the gaps with tier 7 intelligence, maybe some LP items as well, but nothing particularly exciting here that I see going on. Just Dragorath proccing Lightning Blast procs Spark Charges. Both the Frostclaw skill tree gets procced off of melee attacks, and in the Spellblade Mastery, there's a brand new node from patch 1.1, which procs Frostclaw on melee hit. So that is some pretty cool stuff. It's really not too much to say here, but I'm glad to see that Spark Charge is still alive and well outside of Sorc, because Sorc is so OP that I'm not the biggest fan personally. But let's go on. Next up is Runemaster. For Runemaster, we have 257 waves coming in from this person. This is a COF gamer. It is a Lightning Blast Spark Charge build. And you'll see, like we just talked about a minute ago, you need flat critical strike chance from somewhere, and Prismatic Gaze is one of the places that you could get flat critical strike chance. So they only have +3, but +3 is better than nothing. So instead of having 5 crit, we have 8 crit. Other choices would have been going for the new forged weapon rings, but instead they went for Jewelry Star Dial, which is cool. You know, we have, when we use a movement skill, instead of having 16 intelligence, we have quick math. Can I do quick math? 48? Is that right? Maybe. 58? I'm nervous. A lot. I don't do math on stream for a reason, but take 16 and triple it, and whatever number you come up with, All right, I'm embarrassed, but let's keep going. So this Runemaster was pretty good. We're just stacking intelligence. We're using Mad Alchemist Ladle, and of course, Mad Alchemist Ladle gives you more cast speed per intelligence as well. I've highlighted this build on my YouTube channel previously, and not much has changed between then and now. It's great. Playing it as a Runemaster, I don't mind it at all. Do we know what runic invocation they're using? Do we know? They were, let's see, lightning. Is lightning converted or unconverted? When I played it, I had it converted. So they're playing L. Let's see, L. Is there any conversion node here? L. Cold. So LC. LCL. Do we know what LCL is? Hold on. Pause. 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 What is it? LCL. What's LCL? Click. LCL. I think they're LCL. LC. LC. Where's my spreadsheet? LCL. What? Is this right? LCL is a spell called Lightning Web? Am I reading this right? Hold on. Lightning Blast. No conversion. No conversion here. L. C. Because there's no conversion, no conversion. And then L for this. For lightning. Yeah, LCL. It's called Lightning Web. It's spell lightning int. It says lightning repeatedly arcs between enemies around the target. Each enemy can be hit up to 3 times, and added spell damage applies at each hit at 1500 effectiveness. Or sorry, at 150% effectiveness. Cool. I don't have much to say about the runic invocation that they're using. I feel like in my mind I would still just use CFC even though they removed the damage reduction from it. But maybe LCL is something worth investigating. I'm gonna go pop that in the in one of my like offline characters and see what's going on there. But that's for later, not for now. Let's continue on our builds here. Next up is a Void Knight. Our Void Knight character was at 300 waves. This is a Merchant's Guild gamer. This person was like a Smite, Healing Hands, Devouring Orb character. So in my mind, that's pretty straightforward. But it's noteworthy that we're using a Dragorath Claw instead of using something like a Mad Alchemist Ladle. So when I think about Void Knights, I think about like you get flat spell damage per vitality, which means you get a whole bunch of vitality. You don't need as much flat damage from your weapon. So instead you just use like a Mad Alchemist Ladle for the more damage that it gives you. So that's what I would have thought. But a Dragorath Claw gives you all res, which is neat. It's got a good implicit for critical strike chance, and it has a good bit of crit multi on it. So we have our crit chance and our offhand catalyst as well. So that's neat. We're self-cast Smite. We're not doing anything with the lightning conversion. Remember, the lightning conversion someday will be converted into void if you take the void conversion nodes. Right now, they don't convert, unfortunately. But all of our Smite damage is void damage. Sigils, no defense, no block chance, all damage all the time. Healing Hands is getting procced off of it. Cool, cool. Little bit of healing effect. I doubt we're generating much ward. Okay, we're generating no ward. Got it. No ward? No ward. Okay. Anomaly, very normal looking stuff on the right side of the screen. And then Devouring Orb, hoping that it's a relevant skill. I would love for EHG to buff Devouring Orb. I find it underwhelming. I don't think it's in a very good spot. Please, EHG, let me use this skill and feel good about myself. After a series of nerfs, I don't really like the Devouring Orb stuff myself. I also feel like you numlock Devouring Orb, and then you also numlock your Anomaly. And having double numlocked skills that aren't instant cast really gets tedious after a while. So that's my current complaint with it, and I don't think it's worthwhile. But this person got 300 waves. It looks like the top performing Void Knight build. Not much competition at 300 waves, but this is what we got with this Merchant's Guild gamer here. Let's take a look at something that's substantially more tryhard. Way more tryhard. Forge Guard? So there was a Forge Guard gamer who worked really hard and got 1,284 waves in the arena. This is a Merchant's Guild build. They hid their character, but I think we know what's going on because the second build that we're going to look at, it looks very, very similar, and I suspect that it's the same thing going on. So the first character, I'm going to include their planner as well, even though it's kind of bare bones. There's some skills in here. There's a mastery here. But for us, we're going to take a look at the second person who I think was playing the same build. This is a Bleed Manifest Armor Forge Guard. So we're using a main hand shield with a Monument of Protection, along with an offhand shield, Bulwark of the Last Abyss, to cap our block chance. So we're giga tanky to begin with. We have shield throw spect to when we hit a minion with it, or sorry, when we hit Manifest Armor with it, it does a sweeping melee attack. And of course, our Manifest Armor right here is spec'd for all the physical damage over time and extra bleed chance. So this is the brunt of our damage here. Smite is giving extra attack speed to ourselves. So we are proccing that off of some idols here. I don't think we need as many idols as we have here, especially like having these go up to 25% chance, but limited at 10 times per 2 seconds. I don't think we need all 4 of them. Perhaps you could trim 1 or 2 of those for something else, maybe even some extra health. But listen, this person got 1,200 waves in the arena. That is pretty goddamn impressive. So it looks like they're quite tanky. Notable that there's actually there's 3 sources of increased block effect in the game, and this person has 2 of them. So we've increased block effect on our Monument of Protection, and we also have increased block effect on Ring of Shields. So all of our normal block effect gets increased twice. So that is a very tanky character combined with maximum block chance. Cool. So that's our Bleed Forge Guards. Looking at 1,284 waves. Next up is Paladin. Paladin, the top Paladin build, looks at 406 waves. I think we actually found the a build guide for this, and I'm going to link this in the planner as well. I don't think it's the same person. This person's name is The Brewery, but it's a consecrated ground stacking Paladin build guide. So I'll link that to you as well. But I think this is exactly that same build. So it's a Vengeance Healing Hands build. It is non-crit with a Singularity and Wingguard. We have Holy Aura spec'd for all the nodes for the Flame Burst to help you with clear speed. So we're like a spell non-crit thing. But then the brunt of our damage comes from Judgment. And this is not Aura. So we're going to stack multiple Consecrated Grounds. And we're scaling Ellie Dot and Healing Effect. So we only have 1 point in Pyre's Offering because we're going to go boom, 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 boom to put a bunch of them on the ground. We have no cooldown with Urgent Inquisition. And then on our chest piece, you'll see that we have this tier 7 mana gained when you use Vengeance and hit an enemy. One interesting thing that you could do with this, I've been experimenting with a couple of variations of this, but instead of using a Snowblind, obviously Snowblind is an awesome helmet, and I love that they updated both this and Decayed Skull to be so much more relevant as items than they have been in the past. But, you know, speaking of brand new items, this mana gained when you use Vengeance and hit an enemy, it also works really well with one of my new favorite items, the Seed of Echidrosil helmet. So damage taken from mana before health, and then you have these skills that generate mana when you hit enemies. So this person did not end up doing that. The build guide doesn't advocate it for it, but you can bet that if I were going to experiment with this and try to iterate on it, I would see, well, how does it feel to also use Seed of Echidrosil on this build? So this person was at 406 waves in the arena as a Merchants Guild gamer. Let's move on. We've got a Necromancer next. This is one of the handful of people that really went hard during the 1.1 patch. So this is a Merchants Guild character who got to 1,553 waves. So 1,553 waves in the arena. And this is a low-life abomination build. And notably, it does not use Dreadshade. So we have Volatile Zombie, Summon Skeleton, Skelly Mage, Infernal Shade, and Assemble Abomination. I don't know much when it comes to Necromancer builds, but I thought that every single Necromancer build always used Dreadshade all the time because it's super OP. We're not, for some reason. So that's pretty noteworthy to me. We have this Subjugation node, which gives us a bunch of direct damage for... direct damage, deals more direct damage for each second. Wait. This thing deals more direct damage. I don't want it to. What's it do? Wait, I thought they were taking this node. Minions have extra damage here. Unlimited duration on minions. Are they not doing unlimited? Wait a minute. I thought they were using these 2 nodes to juice up their Assemble Abomination. Area, Ignite Chance, Fire Penetration, converted to Bleed. It changes to the armor of nearby enemies each second. Wait, I thought I knew what was going on. Turns out I fucking don't. Alright, so this is a Necromancer build, and I'm going to stop pretending like I know what's going on. Okay, cool. Let me know in the comment section what's going on, because I thought I knew. I was pretty sure I knew. I don't. I thought they were using Infernal Shade with all these extra nodes up here. I guess they have a bunch of unspec'd points. Hold up. They have a bunch of unspec'd points up here. I'm going to assume that they were taking these nodes, but I'm not sure. So let's keep going. The other Necromancer build that I wanted to point out was, of course, Wraithlord. Wraithlord was the new helmet that was introduced from David Harbour, who's still not responded to my tweets trying to get him on the podcast. But this is a solo Wraith build. So this is Wraithlord, solo Wraith, super popular build. And we are using Dread Shade. We are using Infernal Shade to juice up as much damage as we can. To me, nothing particularly interesting going on. Just a super strong build that did get nerfed, but is still extremely strong. So this is our Merchant's Guild Wraithlord character. That is one of our top performing things. Next up is Lich. Substantially less competitive than everything. It's actually the least competitive in terms of arena for our softcore solo stuff. Remember, this is like solo arena, not like SSF solo. So for a Lich, the top build was 230 waves in the arena, which I almost don't want to include because it's such a low number. But this build, it made a splash during 1.0, and it's basically untouched. Like, it's still very much so incredibly OP. You see the belts, you see the Jungle Queen's chaps, you see the cycle of putrescence, you see the LP zombies summoned on potion use, and you know what's going on here. This is a zombie belt sacrifice character. It's giga strong. Good versions of this, like well-geared versions of this, can easily one-shot Aberoth. The new pinnacle boss has been introduced. There's really not much to say about it. It makes me wish that the summon volatile zombie was not in the game, because it's just so much stronger than other things that Liches can be doing. And the build kind of builds itself, and it seems super degenerate. I'm not sure why it's in the game, and I suspect that someday it won't be. If you want to blow up a bunch of zombies and have ridiculous damage, I would do it. I would do it sooner rather than later. Next up is Warlock. Warlock has our top build at 397 waves in the arena. Sorry, this Lich build was a COF character. Cool. COF, 230 waves, got it. Warlock is 397 waves in the arena, so just shy of 400. This is a Merchant's Guild gamer, and is just good old-fashioned 688 necrotic resistance torment build. So we can click through a couple things real quick so you can see what's going on. While we were pulling together this list, it looks like this character is very similar, if not exactly the same, as something advocated by Volca on the Max Roll team. So shout out to him for putting this together. Looks like just like Thonic Fissure with the Acid Skin, making sure that the rest of our skills can still crit, because as soon as we apply Acid Skin, our Chaos Bolt can crit as well, and we have some extra hit damage to damned, ignited, bleeding, frostbite enemies over there. And then in our Thonic Fissure, we're taking all the necrotic damage per crit multi, and the damage per necrotic resistance, and all the necrotic res payoffs. So what's interesting about this is that Warlock, for the 1.1 patch, didn't get anything at all. Halfway through the cycle so far, we got a buff to Witchfire. But basically, everything from 1.0 into 1.1 got nerfed. Just all sorts of ward generation got nerfed. And not only that, but also the damage payoff for building necrotic resistance in Thonic Fissure. So lots and lots of nerfs, but it turns out this is probably still the best way just to be playing a Warlock after all. So, anything else to call out here? Not particularly. To me, it looks like a pretty straightforward thing. Just giga necrotic resistance, fueling everything else in the build. It's basically a stat stacker. I don't mind it myself. So that was Merchant's Guild, 397 waves. Next up is a Bladedancer. This Bladedancer is another Merchant's Guild character with 330 waves in the arena. This person is a low life, cold, crit, explosive trap plus acid flask build. So in the 1.0 arena ladder, 1 month in when I did my roundup there, this build was all over the place. One time I actually called it Frostbite by accident. It's definitely not Frostbite. It is 1000% a crit damage build. So in Explosive Trap, we're proccing our Acid Flasks off those nodes here. We're not doing anything with Detonating Arrow. This node with Smoke Traps did get nerfed in patch 1.1. It no longer instantly caps all of your Dust Shrouds, which means you're not getting completely free Glancing Blow chance, and you're not getting completely free capped dodge rating like you did in the 1.0 patch. But this node is still very, very strong. So it's nice to have this one here. Not too much to talk about here. We're just like playing Cold Acid Flask. And there's no Umbral Blades at all, which to me makes me happy because I wish that Umbral Blades were not as strong as they were. So I'm glad enough to see this in here. Pretty cool stuff. We have, let's see, 3,000 life. I guess one other thing that's worth pointing out for this low life character here is that in the Bladedancer skill tree, this node changed substantially. So it used to be flat critical strike chance. I think it was 24, 25 flat critical strike chance in the past. Instead of nerfing the damage reduction, EHG chose in the 1.1 patch to nerf the crit chance. So they changed it into crit multi while at low health instead. So if you're geared well, this is a damage increase. But it also means that you need to gear differently. You need to use things that have some flat critical strike chance on them. Or I guess just use nodes that have flat crit on them. Cool. I guess this is no flat crit. This is like percent increase crit. Is there any flat crit? Crit multi. No rings for flat crit. Omnis here. I guess there's really not any flat crit, is there? Am I missing something? I don't think so. I don't think there's any flat critical strike chance here, which is kind of interesting, huh? Just like tons and tons of increased critical strike chance, and then like some crit vulnerability to round it out. But remember, crit vulnerability only brings it down to needing 80 crit instead of needing 100 crit to crit cap. Interesting. Okay, that's pretty neat. Let's go on. We have two more builds to talk about here. Remember, this was a Merchant's Guild at 330 waves in the arena. Again, pretty low. But next up is we have a Marksman build. There's two Marksman builds I'm going to show you real quick. The top build was hidden, but I think I know what this build was because I've seen this kind of floating around. So the top build is 319 waves in the arena. I think this character with a Rain of Winter and a Troaka's Teeth with Morning Frost. I think this character was a Explosive Trap proccing Detonate Arrow. I think that's what they were doing. I know they have like Cinder Strike here, but there's no coherence in this current build. I'm going to give it to you as well, but note that this particular thing is not a real build. But I think they were playing Explosive Trap, proccing Detonate Arrow, and they just happened to have a Rain of Winter bow, and then proccing the Icicles as well. The other build that I'm going to talk about instead, this is a different Marksman build from another content creator. His name is Trickster, and for as long as I've known him, he only plays Rogue, and he plays a ton of Marksman. So this is just like his bread and butter, and if he says that this is good, I'm going to believe him because he has literally years of experience only with one class. So Trickster was using a Drellcore's Compass, and he's basically playing self-cast Multishot. So this is a Merchant's Guild character, just with Multishot, taking all the good damage nodes. Multishot, I don't think much got changed with it this patch, but in Marksman, there were a handful of nodes that used to give you like increased damage, and now they give you more damage, including with the mastery points that we have here. So I've played self-cast Drellcores in the past. It sounds like it's much better now than it's been previously. I'm not sure that Marksman is like the best place to be, but from all accounts of like people in Twitch chat, people in Discord tell me that they've played, a little bit of Marksman, a little bit of this or that it's good. If I were going to play Marksman, I think I would still poke around with this like Trap Detonating Arrow Rain of Winter thing, because that sounds like more my speed. But I am happy to know that I know Rain of Winter, sorry, not Rain of Winter. I know Hail of Arrows has been performing very well during the 1.1 patch. But it looks like, at least in Arena, this is what we're looking at with the multi-shot stuff. The last build to call out is another one that has over 1,000 waves, and that's, of course, Falconer. So this was a Falconer Merchant's Guild gamer looking at 1,340 waves, so 1,340 waves. And I'm going to call this the 200 Dexterity Ballista build. This is not an exploding Ballista build. At least they don't have it spec'd that way. This is just good old-fashioned shooting stuff. There were two builds that looked exactly the same, and I was going to incorporate both of them in this video, but they have like the same gear and the same spec and the same mastery. And I'm like, oh, you know what? It might be the same build. So that is what's going on in the world of Falconer these days. I feel like there's not much to talk about. Like Falconer is just, it's pretty good. You know what the biggest change was? The other person was using the Falcon gloves, the Blood Roost gloves, like 1 health gain per dexterity when your Falcon hits an enemy. So they were using that. Sure. Physical penetration with bleed inflicted by minions. Yeah, I don't think you're not playing bleed, are we? Playing crit? Yeah. Yeah, cool. All right, so they were using the other gloves. This person using a swaddling instead because they have that tier 7 intelligence, which is giving you more damage on your ballistas. Where's the intelligence node? There's an intelligence payoff somewhere. Where's this thing? This guy in our aerial assault. Damage ballista, more damage per intelligence. Holy moly, is that a real node? Good lord, Falconer, come on. All right, so that's what's looking. That's what Falconer builds are doing well in Arena right now. We have 1340 waves there, and that about does it for the roundup of 21 builds here. So we looked at a handful of things. Some of the builds were hidden, but we tried to make our best guess on what those builds were. And then, of course, we had maybe 2, and sometimes, very rarely, 3 builds per mastery. Unfortunately, for this 1.1 patch, there again was not much competition because D4 is going on, Path of Exile is going on, and like, frankly, there's a lot of bugs in Last Epoch right now, and I know that there are at least people in my community who are erring away from Last Epoch and just kind of having fun with different video games, waiting for some of those bugs to be fixed, because it's frustrating experimenting with different builds when everything, including the items that I'm currently looking at here on the screen, are bugged. So it's fun doing these videos. I'll be curious to know how this arena ladder changes at the very end of the 1.1 patch, but we don't know when 1.2 is coming, so we're not sure what that time frame is. In any case, if you like these kinds of videos, let me know. If you have ideas about the builds that we've been talking about on this arena ladder here, or maybe something that you'd like to see in the future, another roundup like this, given the public API that we have access to, kind of through le2wolves.com, hopefully publicly someday. But yeah, let me know, because this kind of stuff for me, it's quite fun to do. I'll see you next time.